I think the humanitarian situation in Syria is catastrophic and will continue to remain catastrophic for a long while. And I think it's going to get worse still before it gets better. If you look at the situation in Idlib that is currently ongoing, I don't see an improvement there, but rather things going worse. The problem is that the humanitarian situation is linked with the political situation. The European Union is one of the largest donors and one of the largest operatives and organizers of humanitarian relief in the region, including in Syria. But this is like putting plaster on a wound without healing the wound or disease. This is like treating the consequences. So if you want to change the humanitarian situation in a longer perspective, then we need to change the political perspective. The European Union is actually engaged across the spectrum. On the humanitarian side, it has been mentioned. On the stabilization side, which is sort of mid-term solutions, for example, on service level, education, water, etc. In longer-term development in Iraq, for example, heavily engaged in macroeconomic reform in the reform sectors, in the electricity sector, reforms in the water management sector, reform in the public financial management systems, which also serves anti-corruption, etc. So longer-term strategic reform sectors. And we're also active in the security sector. For example, in Iraq, we have an advisory mission for security sector reform in the blue sector, in the policing sector. So I think the European Union, in principle, has instruments to be active across the political spectrum. The question is when and how we use which instruments. Well, I think there's a lot of things that the European Union could do slightly more than it is doing beyond the, as I said, humanitarian system that there is. One within Syria itself, I think it would be useful to consider a conditional, very, very highly conditional engagement. First of all, in northeast Syria, assist with the building up of governance structures, provided it comes with inclusivity and allowing pluralism in that area. And with the collaboration and with the acceptance of the neighbors, that is extremely important. I think we need to work more heavily with Turkey and find understanding with Turkey on a number of the issues. Also for the rest of Syria, I think it is important to spell out our conditions for any kind of engagement, and they ought to include the war crimes prosecution, they ought to include the access to detainees, release of detainees, etc. On a more international level, I think it is highly important to prevent the further escalation of the Syria war into igniting an international war that includes very legitimate interests. As I said, that Turkey has legitimate interests of Israel, that includes behaviors of Iran in Iraq, and a number of issues where I think proper good old diplomacy is called for. And finally, very, very important, I think, the justice side, sort of prosecute war crimes, beginning but not ending with war crimes committed by Daesh.